Alright, we're recording.
Okay.
Nothing's exploded.
Well, we're all good. Still
Okay.
alive.
Hello, students, and welcome to the Librarius Conclave. I am Sir Johann Gasmask Esquire III, and I will be one of 3 teachers you have here today.
Hello, I am Lionel Johnson, here to teach you about some Warhammer lore, and I did not realize the intro was going to be that cringe.
How is it not gonna be cringe?
True, yeah.
But I hope
get
it's
this
cool.
movie. And I am Saltius the Incorruptible.
You're a bitch! So, for today's topic, we'll be covering the warp and all that the warp entails. All of the horrid creatures and the friendly ones. All of the ways it interacts with our world. And all of the ways it will fuck you over at the first given convenience. So, in general, the warp, as it stands, is a parallel dimension that is powered and fueled by the emotions of those upon the material dimension, reality, as it were. Our own thoughts and emotions do impact how the warp works, but there are many things within the warp. There's also many things from our own reality that have made it into the warp, one way or the other. In one corner, you have the glorious Golden Emperor, sitting upon his glorious golden throne, blasting light out into the darkness, the intelligence and the emotions and the malice of the warp, to make it possible for his servants to navigate throughout the malignant tumor that is the warp. In the other corner, you have the Chaos Gods. 4 reality tumors, all their own, formed and shaped by ancient emotion and feelings and intent. And then you have everything in between that is neither of the Emperor or of the Chaos Gods. And speaking of them, we'll get to Chaos Gods. You have Khorne. You have Slaanesh. You have Tzeentch, and you have Nurgle. All 4 are said to be representative of our reality. Each one with their own realms within the warp. As I walked through that vast and maddened landscape, I sought to record my journey. Oh, the hubris of man who tries to map the whimsy of the gods. Each time I turn my eyes to this page, that which greets me is different to the previous viewing. Verily, it remains unchanging, whilst my eyes are upon it. But when I close this book, the continents drift and flow, and the landmarks dance upon the page, never coming to rest twice in the same place. Liber Malefic. We will keep this segment on Chaos brief, as to not overly offend the sensibilities of the Inquisition. Khorne, the Blood God, is said to be the most violent of the 4 Chaos Gods. Khorne has many titles: the Blood God, the Lord of Skulls, Karneth, if you were to speak the Dark Tongue, Lord of Blood, Lord of Rage, Lord of Battle, and Hunter of Souls. He has domain over many things related to conflict: war, hatred, wrath, rage, murder, blood, strength, courage, and martial honor. With a sacred number of 8, and the sacred colors of blood red, black, and brass. He resides within the brass citadel in the blood god's domain. Then you have Nurgle, the plague lord, the plague god, the plague father, lord of decay, lord of pestilence, the fly lord, the great corrupter, grandfather Nurgle, master of plague and pestilence.
I call him Daddy.
The ecclesiarchy would like a word. Nearly got a full spit take out of me on that one.
Plague Lord claims domain over disease, decay, despair, destruction, death, and rebirth. Also the undead, if you didn't get that from... That's interesting. Putrid browns and bilious greens.
Yep.
Residing within the land of the Plague Lord. Forget what his palace is called.
No idea.
That would be Nurgle's garden, would it not?
Yeah, you're right. Doesn't he have like a mansion or some shit too? Demonic steeds, rotfly, and commanding the hosts of the Plague Legion. Jesus, that's so fucking corny. I love it. What does... Oh, Khorne, of course, is the Blood Legions. Oh, that's dumb. Oh god. So, according to 40k lore, Nurgle was the third of the Chaos Gods to fully awaken within the Warp, emerging during the second millennium in the midst of Old Earth's European Middle Ages, as great plagues swept across the world, heralding the god's birth.
Oh yes, the Black Death. Makes sense.
So canonically, that would mean COVID was Nurgle too.
Well, I mean, I guess
If
that,
COVID
I guess
still
that would-
canonically happened.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess
that's
that was on his off day. I guess.
Yeah.
That was a
Nurgle
loogie.
having a normal one.
I'd say that was just Nurgle spitting up some phlegm after puking on the Eldar.
Careful with that joke. If it reaches Twitter, we're done.
Oh well.
Meh.
You can't get cancelled if you don't apologize.
You can't cancel me. All my followers are bots.
Oh god, don't remind me of when that was how my Twitter profile worked. Alright. Bubo... Oh, here's a chant that the Plague Bears sing. Bubo's phlegm, blood and guts, boils, bogies, rat and pus, blisters, fevers, weeping sores, from your wounds the fester pours.
I love the word bubo.
Let's go over to Khorne. A quote from the Khornate wiki. Blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throat.
The usual.
Embrace your hunger, your lust, your desire. The universe is ours for the taking. Then the various titles of Dark Prince, Prince of Pleasure, Lord of Excess, Perfect Prince, Prince of Chaos. That's weird.
Master of excess in all things. Silent Thresh, which means she who thirsts. I dig it.
Eldari, yeah. You don't get to name it. You brought it into existence. Youngest of the 4 major chaos gods, having come to full self-awareness within the Immaterium Only during the 30th millennium, the name Slaanesh is a corruption of the Eldari term Slaaneth, Sla meaning ecstasy or pleasure, and Neth meaning lord or prince in the Eldari lexicon. Hence, the Prince of Pleasure. Though ironically, the Eldari prefer to call this foul entity only as Silanthresh, she who thirsts. I'm not going to try and put all of that. Dedicated to this pursuit of earthly gratification and the overthrow of all decent behavior, as well as hedonism and pleasure for its own sake. Sounds about right? Oh, the legions of excess. How fitting.
That calls to mind the Emperor's children.
Yeah. That is their dedicated traitor legion.
Yeah, they they were kind of primed for the taking. Like the old trope of pride goeth before the fall was just that's their whole arc.
Yeah. So I forgot about this, but apparently all of the Chaos Gods have some primary rival. Slaanesh and Khorne and Tzeentch and Nurgle. Though Khorne has a rivalry with Tzeentch, but it's minor. Yeah. And then we'll go over to Tzeentch. Do not ask which creature screams in the night. Do not question who waits for you in the shadow. It is my cry that wakes you in the night, and my body that crouches in the shadow. I am Tzeentch, and you are the puppet that dances to my tune. The Book of Tzeentch. How pompous. I'm sorry, but Tzeentch should canonically just be a fat neck beard and a fedora.
I'm okay with that.
That's how you feel about Tzeentch, for real?
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
He's so full of himself. You know? It's like, oh, I am the changer of worlds. I have made a plan not even I comprehend. You're not that good, bud.
Well, the concept of Tzeentch is well
cool.
done in other places, specifically Lovecraft.
Yeah. But as, like, I've seen him...
But you're right, the way he's written comes off.
Oh no, he's got the most titles of all, too. You've got the Changer of Ways, Lord of Change, Lord of Sorcery, Architect of Fate, Great Conspirator, Great Deceiver, Lord of Entropy, Master of Mutation, Weaver of Destinies, Father of Lies and Deception, Great Eagle, Raven God, Char, Shunch, and Chen.
What?
I'm guessing that's like either from the various cultures within like 40k and fantasy.
Whatever it is, it sounds stupid.
Because Char sounds like it might be like Norskin or something. And then Shunch and Chen might be either how various aliens have named him, or how various like other nations within like Warhammer Fantasy have named him.
Yeah. I've never heard that reference anywhere as Shunch, so...
I haven't either. One second.
I mean, it could be like a primitive cult reference.
Oh, yeah, no.
Because of the way cults behave.
It almost certainly is, but...
It could exist in, like, exactly one place in one book.
Yeah.
From, like, the mid-90s.
Mm-hmm. Notable, yeah. Oh, here's yeah, this is perfect for him. The scintillating legions. Ooh. And the traitor legion.
Change, evolution, mutation, intrigue, ambition, and knowledge, as well as sorcery, destiny, lies, and he's again. Lovecraft did this concept better.
Oh yeah,
Period.
so much. Like I haven't read too much Lovecraft.
When I first heard the idea of Tzeentch, I'm struggling to remember the character's name. I think it's Nyarlathotep, I think, is the one I'm thinking of. I'm gonna have to look it up real quick.
I just know Shub Niggurath and Cthulhu.
Oh, wait, be careful when you say that.
Demonetized.
Nah, because Yahtzee used it in zero punctuation. And it's spelt with a UR, I think. Or an ER, but... It's Lovecraft. He was racist as fuck. Even by the standards of back then.
Nah.
So, like, in Lovecraft, the character Nyarlathotep is basically what Tzeentch is based on, and he's more or less like a dark outer god of change.
Yeah.
Some of his titles, for drawing a direct comparison, would be Crawling Chaos, God of a Thousand Forms, Stalker Among the Stars, Black Pharaoh, Faceless God, and Soul and Messenger of the Other Gods.
Lovely.
And he likes to interact with people's dreams and fuck with their destinies.
Yeah.
As, like, the side gig. So, like, that's kind of the inspiration that I feel like they were probably drawing from.
It most certainly is.
With Tzeentch, and the way he ends up being written when he's actually shown to be directly interacting with stuff is, like you described, more petty than anything.
Yeah, he exists to... He's an attention whore. Which is weird for someone that's supposed to be, like, behind the scenes pulling the strings. It's like... a god like this shouldn't have that many titles. They shouldn't have a fucking symbol. Right?
We all need a bit of recognition every now and then.
Yeah, but all this dude wants is recognition. Like, yeah. I feel like if he were a human being, he would walk past a pretty girl on the street, tip his fedora, and say, "M'lady." You know?
Well, like, every time you think of, like, fate and destiny and luck, in the books, every time somebody's attributing that to the Emperor, it's just as likely that it's him.
Oh yeah, that is true, but...
And in that sense, he's an interesting character, but he's not expanded well in that direction.
No. He is... I mean, I like the thought that he's just, like, super duplicitous and he'll fuck himself over as much as he'll fuck over everyone else. Mm-hmm. But he's not, like...
Dice never stops rolling.
Yeah, from what I understand of the guy, he's just a pompous dick.
I mean,
that needs a fucking amphetamine prescription to stay focused. He is the Fortnite streamer. Well, no, he's not the Fortnite streamer.
No,
he's the
Fortnite streamer.
Huh? Yeah.
He's the Fortnite streamer.
But, like, I'd say he'd be like the twitchy motherfucker that thinks that movement mechanics matter in a game like COD. Or some shit. You know what I mean? But yeah, let's move on from him to Chaos Undivided, which is... You're worshipping all four of them, which makes you the worst of them all, right?
Nah.
Like, seriously, pick a lane. Pick a lane. Huh?
Or the smartest.
Well, no, pick a lane. Seriously. The gods themselves are not unified, so why would you worship them as a unified entity?
True, but the word bearers get everything they want.
the Abaddon gets everything he wants without having to suffer any of the physical changes that come along with worshiping any of these dudes directly and accepting more of their gifts than is necessary.
Well,
Like, Abaddon's a piece of shit. But
yeah,
he's
you got a point there.
funny about how he attained his immortality, if nothing else.
I suppose most of my hatred of Chaos Undivided comes from the word bearers, Erebus, and Lorgar. Those are completely other.
Lorgar, so I don't know.
Nah.
Lorgar's my favorite.
If I were in a room with 3 bolt rounds, Erebus, Erebus, Lorgar, Karn, and a fucking Tau, I'd shoot Erebus twice and then Lorgar once. Straight up. Like, I fucking hate the old... man.
And you'd beat the Tau to death with the bolter.
No, I'd trick Karn into beating the Tau to death.
Lorgar just has the most satisfying irony of all the ironies that caused the traitors to go traitor.
Oh yeah, no, he turned traitor because Daddy didn't want to be worshipped, and he punished Lorgar for doing so.
And then Daddy ended up worshipped anyway.
And then Daddy ended up as a god anyway, yeah.
And that's more satisfying to me than Horus being corrupted by his own ambition, Fulgrim being corrupted by his own horny, or
his own horny.
Like, what else do you want? You know, his pride fucked him over.
I find Angron a more compelling story.
Like, to be fair, I know almost zero about Angron. I've not read any of the novels about him. I don't know how he felt.
Well, here's the thing: the way I understand it, he only really went traitor, quote unquote, as a result of the Butcher's Nails, which I don't think is something you can get rid of. So we'll save it for.
Got a lobotomy and is mad forever. That's my understanding.
So they're implants in his brain that like basically zap him until he goes angry, and then they just flood his system with endorphins while he's angry. So imagine,
stupid.
Yeah, but it's
everything about Angron is just the Hulk, but worse.
Yeah, but like he didn't choose it. It was forced upon him when he was in slavery on Nicaea, was it?
That's why his name is what it is. Like, that's not the name that an emperor would have picked for him, but...
Yeah.
I'm mad. My name is mad. I'm mad because things happened that made me mad. Like,
yeah.
Okay, dude. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
I do like the idea that he was supposed to be like the Primarch of apothecaries.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, I don't know anything else about his backstory than...
Actually, if you want something to read that's, like, goes into that, I think Dusty does that really well. In her little fanfic.
Okay.
I don't think she's gotten to the finale of Angron's arc.
Is that in Big E's server? Where can I find a link?
No, you just like DM Dusty, she's in the Legion. It's like that Dusty Cat or whatever the fuck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Then we'll get into their effect, the Chaos God's effect on reality, which is a lot. It is so very much, and it's fucking ridiculous. So we've got, they can do all kinds of things. They can mutate you, they can bend reality, but what really matters is how the warp affects affect reality. And I'm not too familiar with, what all, like, any specifics. So if anyone has any of just the warp randomly or intentionally, through someone else's intentions or otherwise, causing issues in,
Well, there's
reality.
Obviously, there's standard.
There's the Eye of
warp
Terra.
storm. You know, the Eye of
Yeah.
Terra, the warp storms.
Yeah, warp storms.
You have things like in Salvation's Reach, which I don't know if you've read or not. I'm not going to give any
particularly.
specifics, but there is some non-Euclidean geometry or architecture, for lack of a better word.
As
Basically, an enclosed finite area becomes a labyrinth.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That happens numerous times in a variety of the stories. Sometimes laws of physics seem to operate improperly. Sometimes the geometry, for some reason, feels like it has an extra dimension of space, specifically like fractured mirrors, the way the angles can be. Like in Eisenhorn, for example, there's a time when he goes to a xenoplanet that is basically a warp planet. It's engulfed in the warp all the time.
Yeah.
And it's almost impossible to navigate if you're not a psyker.
Yeah.
There's also a very simple one. During the Siege of Terra, all Chaos Gods came together to use a massive warp storm to keep the Dark Angels, Blood Angels, and Ultramarines away in order to get Horus to win.
Yeah. Yeah,
But still
what was
failed
that?
because fuck you, Chaos.
Wasn't that the Ruin Storm, I think?
I think so.
Yeah. And then isn't there a drug that's literally, it's like a shard of mirror with some warp energy in it? Or some shit?
That's the first I'm hearing of that.
Oh yeah, the warp shards from
Yeah.
is it Eisenhorn or Ravenor? I think it's Eisenhorn. No, the Flects. Yeah, that would be Ravenor. That would be the first Ravenor book. They're called Flects, and they're basically they look like shards of glass, and from what I can tell, they smoke them, and it's, for lack of a better term, warp crack. Like, it's super addictive, and it basically makes everything appear the way that you wish it was. Like, it's the perfect escapism drug.
Yeah.
It's actually, from what I understand, a Tzeentchian cult drug that was being given out in order to grow his power.
Sounds about
It's been a while
Tzeentch.
since I read that, so I might be wrong.
I love the name you called it, though, Warp Crack.
I mean, yeah. What else is there? There are times where, in times of extreme extreme mass emotion of one sort or the other, for example, a riot or something, or a massive fucking war, you can have basically a thinning of the veil between reality and unreality. The story of the
common over time as well. So it seems to get more common over time as well.
In what way? You mean like as the event goes on, or
literature of pre-Horus Heresy? It doesn't occur nearly as often as it does 10,000 years later.
Yeah.
Or at least it's not described and recorded.
Well, the thing is that after, during the Horus Heresy, it was such an apocalyptic battle that so it's either...
It wounded the universe.
Yeah, it wounded the universe, essentially. And then you've got all this other shit, there were a bunch of rituals to tear apart reality during the Horus Heresy. And there have been a bunch of rituals since, and the veil will only get thinner and thinner as time goes on. One of the prime examples, during the fall of Cadia, or right after it, when the fucking Eye of Terra split open into the rift, appearances of the Legion of the Damned spiked because the veil was thinning. One of my favorite examples is the Mordian Iron Guard, their homeworld. There was a massive, it started off as a food riot, and then I believe it was Khornate cultists that took advantage of all of the extreme hatred and anger and all of the emotions entailed within that to create, to pull off a ritual to summon a chaos invasion of the planet. And the only reason the planet didn't die is because the Mordian Iron Guard were able to last long enough for the Psykers in orbit to close the rift. And then that brings us smoothly into Psykers and how they can affect reality. Which is, quite frankly, ridiculous depending on the individual. Any input on that?
No.
I was thinking
sorry.
of some examples, but the only thing that came to mind was 40K. It was Dark Tide jokes.
Yeah, that's fair. Luckily I'm not as poisoned by that. So there's a few examples.
Most of my examples.
What is the book? My Gaunt's Ghost, same here. What book is it? Is it Only in Death? Where they're on, what is it, Jago or whatever? There was a bunch of essentially just weird shit happening. Phantom appearances. Yeah, it essentially was, okay, this place is fucking haunted. But as it turned out, it was a psyker that had previously served as a member of the regiment. And this is spoilers, but like he was reaching out to try and help them.
That got me so fucking. First of all, since we're on the topic of that book, Dan Abnett, horror masterpiece.
Yes.
Like, dude can write horror like nobody's.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It blew me away. It was the first horror from him that I had read. Dude should write, unironically, a horror novel outside of 40K just because he could.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of novels outside. Like, I know he writes for a few comics, but yeah, no, he is. The way he describes
shit. That was completely. The way that it ties back in later from that book is the other psyker that I was going to touch on.
Okay.
Is throughout that book, one of the characters keeps being shown a vision of a lady in black for as vague as I can go here without spoiling too much.
What was his name again? Fuck.
I'd have to look. I don't want to give too much detail anyway. But the scene where she's trying to find them using blood magic.
Yeah.
And she just ends up soaking the whole map because the spell's not working, and she's doing it over and over, and then eventually the whole map is so thoroughly soaked that the part that she can't see is the only part that's still clean. And it's like, well, I found them by not being able to find them. And yeah, that one stuck with me too.
That one smells like Zinchian fuckery, not gonna lie.
They were blood cultists.
Yep. Nope. No, I meant like okay, we're gonna let them find him, right? Only they're gonna have to cast the spell 1,000 fucking times.
The third was to keep that specific spell from working it to be able to find them.
Ah, yeah.
And so she just casted the spell through the whole city until the only thing left on the map was the area where it wasn't working.
Yeah. Oh god, that one.
But it is such a gory, well-written scene.
Yeah.
Again, Dan Abnett's just he is dude's a master of his craft.
What else have Psykers done that's fucking stupid?
Cicerino.
Well, what? Anyway, oh yeah, there was Prospero and their capital city. What was the name of that shit again?
Prospero actually segues very nicely into entities next, I assume.
Yeah, I was gonna touch on this last bit of psychic fuckery, and then we were gonna move on to. I wanted to move on to Wog Energy because
Ooh.
that's a big one.
Okay.
Yeah, but didn't they teleport an entire fucking city in Prospero, like the Thousand Suns? In the burning of Prospero, they're like, okay, we need to get the fuck out of here. Let's teleport this entire fucking city off planet across the galaxy.
Yep.
And it now resides on, I believe, the planet of the Sorcerers.
Of the Sorcerers.
Yeah. Which is in the Eye of Terror.
I'm about halfway through the Crimson King right now.
Yeah. And Prospero is actually pretty close to Terra, I believe. And then it ended up all the way over in the fucking Eye of Terror. So it's like, okay, yeah, that's kind of fucking stupid. No real good way to segue into that, but yeah, Wog Energy, orcs. That's an interesting topic, especially. So, to explain, Wog Energy is the collective energy of belief that all orcs generate. And it can do some truly fucking ridiculous shit, and it's not necessarily connected directly to the warp either. It is powered by the warp, but it is not warp itself. And what it allows the orcs to do is essentially ignore the rules of reality. They can project an entire field of reality wherever the fuck they are on a massive scale, enough to cover entire planets even. And not necessarily that, and that's not necessarily the Wog Energy is, turning people into rabbits or some shit. We're talking a metal box full of scrap metal with a grip, a trigger, and a piece of pipe sticking out the end and some bullets jammed into it will work as a firearm. Which is quite frankly probably
like a gun. Enough of the orcs will believe that it's a gun that it will fire.
And this extends to all kinds of technology. From,
technology.
Yeah. From the simplest of grot pistols. Yeah. From the simplest of grot shooters all the way up to teleportation technology and spaceships. That too, yeah.
Like ridiculously advanced surgery. These orcs, man.
To the point that one of their primary characters, had his brain replaced with a lump of inert metal. And it turned him into a prophet.
All of it just works.
You'd have a point if it weren't for the fact that as more and more orcs die, less and less shit works.
Yeah.
To the point that feral orcs are on a tribal level of technology, with flint and bone spears riding hogs, essentially.
Unironically, the most deadly orc.
Yeah, kinda. But yeah, they can go from ridiculous levels of impossible engineering in the form of gargants with teleporters and energy shields and a giant laser to
space travel.
And space travel to spear chucking savages, essentially. And the way that the orcs actually travel through the warp is pretty interesting in and of itself. Instead of doing what the Imperium does and projecting a bubble of reality to essentially sneak through the warp, the orcs don't give a fuck. They will open the portal, fly in, and just project a field of warp energy all around them. And, you know, it's not nearly as safe as Imperial warp travel, but it's more interesting. Oh, like, and I'll cover this guy later, but Tuska the Demon Killer used to run around the warp with a bunch of weird boys, just shouting out into the warp to try and lure demons on, because their wog fields, or whatever the fuck they call them, didn't necessarily didn't necessarily keep the demons out. It just basically said that, hey, demons, guess what? You can't affect us because we don't believe you can. It is so stupid. But that's what makes orcs one of the toughest to kill races in the entire Warhammer universe. Yeah. I would dare say they would outlive everything, including the Necrons.
I mean, the Thraka literally got his head cut off.
No, he got his head blown off by a bolter round.
No, and cut off. He's had both.
Oh shit, yeah. Oh no. Unfortunately, I don't think it works on humans, otherwise Yarrick would still be alive.
Yeah.
I mean, arguably, that's what the Emperor's light is.
Yeah.
In the sense that Wog energy is warp energy, so is the Emperor's light, and the power, the miracles that he works through the power of belief. You are.
Oh no, we will get to that in our next segment. The creation, intentional or otherwise, of warp entities. So, here's a few entities that were created intentionally or otherwise within recent 40k history by factions within 40k that still exist. Slaanesh.
It's a large train.
Yep. You got Slaanesh. You've got the Emperor. We'll touch on that later. You've got all of the Eldari gods, Gork and Mork, and whatever the fuck that Tau god is called.
The Tau have a god?
Yeah.
Was that it? Not just the greater good?
No. It's... One sec. Let me look that up. It happened, like, in their latest, you know, sphere of expansion, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, but, one sec. Tau god.
I know less about Tau than I do about Angron, so...
Yeah, no, Goddess Tau-Va. That has recently yeah, let's move to that. Let's look at that. Is the personification of the greater good who was formed by the Tau Empire's physically inclined allied species' belief in the Tau's founding principle. Her body is shaped like a Tau and a human, but Tau-Va has numerous arms whose hands are shaped differently. These includes those of the Tau, human, Kroot, Nikassar, Charpactin, or Carpactin, which hold blades, cornucopias, quills, shells, and amphora, a buckler shield, or patches of flickering light. Goddess's face, however, is nothing but pale flesh that is devoid of features. Tau-Va is still able to communicate physically, though, to those she appears before. Okay, yeah, I read that wrong. But, when it is not known when Tau-Va came to be, but the goddess's earliest known appearance was to a young shadow son when the commander was still training under the legendary Pure Tide.
Literally, yeah, the greater good personified. She's an amalgamation of literally everything about their society symbolized.
Yes. And it's basic, and it wasn't even the Tau that created her. It was their their subjugated species believing in the greater good and essentially worshipping it that created her. Yeah.
Right.
Pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. These are the same Tau that we saw the first time as like peasants, and then the next time as freaking sci-fi dudes with Gundams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Essentially.
In like a span of what, 2,000-3,000 years?
Something like that, yeah. I don't think it was on purpose, though.
Damn, it don't take much to spawn a god in the 40k universe.
Oh, no, no.
No, it really doesn't. I mean, all it took was the Eldar shagging a lot to get Slaanesh.
Yeah, and then the Eldar did it on purpose, too, a lot. Kane, Isha, all of them. Those are the two biggest ones. Basically, Kane was built to be a weapon. That's it. Like, they created their gods as tools, not as something to worship. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So imagine creating a sentient wrench that can tap a car and fix it. That's essentially what they did.
Huh.
Yeah. And then when Slaanesh was created, Slaanesh ate all but like 3 of them. Or 4.
Just slurped them up?
Yeah. Well, she shattered Kane, and I think Korn gave him Sanctuary, and then Nurgle captured Isha, and I think Chegorak or Kagorak or whatever, however the fuck you say that.
Slaanesh shattered Kane.
Yeah.
That's why you never let them talk.
Yeah, you got a point there, but
his hips don't work no more.
No, I meant like shattered the god into fragments.
I know.
Yeah, like the avatar of Cain is just fragments of Cain inhabiting the body of a willing sacrifice.
Oh, I know. It's like, so I remember, because 40k became, well, the avatar of Cain became a meme. Just, do you want to show how powerful a character is?
Have it kick the shit out of an avatar of Cain, yeah.
Yeah.
And then they do similar stuff in fantasy, I believe. The High Elves do. Or at least they did. I think they're well past that point. But yeah. Who else did I mention? Oh yeah, Gork and Mork. So, to get to the point here, if enough sentient beings with a presence in the warp believe in something, worship something, they can and will create an entity within the warp. So, you've got... So, the biggest example is Gork and Mork. I don't know how that rumor started amongst the orcs. If I were to put money on it, I would have said they were either a singular schizophrenic old one or 2 old ones. And this is just a theory, but...
So, I got a question then.
Go ahead.
What gave birth to Korn?
That's an interesting one. That's an interesting one, and we'll get to that, actually. Thank you for reminding me of that. But
I thought that was the War in Heaven that did that.
I was gonna say, is that what the War in Heaven was?
It created all 3 of the older ones, but we'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
Yeah. But basically, Gork and Mork at some point didn't exist. Either the old ones created them to shepherd the orcs along, or the orcs created them to replace what the old ones were to them. I don't think they did it intentionally. It was more a cry of help, if I were to say, if you know what I mean. Like, oh no, all of the bosses are gone. We need new bosses. So, Gork and Mork were created. I don't know how. I don't know when. I don't know where. I don't think anyone will. I don't think GW is willing to ever touch on that. But basically,
right, yeah.
yeah. But
I
also
would be interested to hear how that ties in with the older version of orcs, the progenitors to the orcs that the Necrons.
The Quarks?
No,
the
Quarks.
Necrons didn't make any. They didn't make any life. They hated life. They wanted to kill everything. The old ones made the Tyranids and the orcs and all of that.
Oh.
Well,
they didn't make the Tyranids. They made the Eldar.
It's theorized they made the Tyranids as a sort of like fire break.
Came from another galaxy as well, so.
Well, that's just it. We don't know if the War in Heaven was purely in this galaxy or if the old ones purely existed in this galaxy.
We have no clue how the warp interacts with the rest of the universe.
Oh no, we don't.
Beyond our galaxy.
No, it could be
zero idea.
Yeah, it could be that all of the war within the galaxy has just thinned the veil locally in the galaxy.
It could be that everything outside of our galaxy and the visible universe is just more warp.
It could be, yeah.
Hey, wasn't it the Silent King who was like, okay, I need to wake up my two worlds now because the Tyranids are coming?
Yeah, I can believe that.
I don't know too much Necron stuff.
So basically, the Silent King left, just flat out left the galaxy.
Yeah.
And then he's like, he came back after a while in sometime after Rising Storm, after the fall of Cadia. And he essentially said, well, shit, the Tyranids are coming. I need more Necrons.
Yeah.
And yeah. But to get to my point, if you have enough people together, if you have enough collective willpower, which the orcs represent perfectly, if you have enough willpower together in reality, they can affect the warp to such a degree as to create a sentient being. So, and, we've already gone over the examples. The Eldar, they did it on purpose. The orcs, they did it probably by accident.
Yeah.
And then, And then, there's the Emperor. He fought so hard to not be worshipped as a god. He fought so hard for that. And then they started worshipping as a god. And now he is de facto a god. He's even got demons and everything. However, it's not merely willpower. It is emotion that can and will create these beings. That is where the original three Chaos Gods come from. Specifically, the War in the Heaven. So much life was created and destroyed during that conflict that it created Khorne, the Blood God, a warrior of ferocious bloodlust. Tzeentch, a cunning tactician at first, that has devolved into warp trash. And then Nurgle.
You can't present your opinion as canon like that. That ain't cool.
Okay, fine. If I were to say anything, I would say that Tzeentch came about.
Your correct opinion as canon.
I would say that Tzeentch came about as a result of all of the planning and scheming during the War in the Heaven.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. In an
That
attempt.
and
Yeah.
the time leading up, like Tzeentch was a slow burn in a lot of ways. Just the fact that life existed, in turn, started the wheels turning that became
Yeah.
Tzeentch. Like just the very existence of life and evolution
Yeah.
would have birthed a primitive entity that eventually became Tzeentch. Because Tzeentch
Yes.
himself is the god of evolution, so he evolved into what he is now.
Yeah.
By that logic, right?
And then Nurgle is...
Tzeentch, I think, would be the oldest god. In that sense, I think that some form of him has existed since the Big Bang.
One sec, let me go back to...
It's still... A lot of people still think it's widely debated who the first one really was.
I don't think they'll ever get that answer.
Yeah.
But, you know, my
It said
objectively
something
correct
about
opinion
that with
is
Nurgle. But that was more like him becoming sentient.
Yeah.
The third of the Chaos Gods to fully awaken within the warp. That's Nurgle.
Okay. Explains why his symbol is the 3 circles.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, no, it's... I don't know what that one is supposed to mean. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about that. 100,000 titles across the galaxy. But, and then Nurgle would have come about as a result of all of the rot and entropy, or not entropy, rot and decay caused by the War in the Heaven, because you have so many things dying. So many things rotting. So much despair.
And again, that it exists, it makes sense that a primal form, like non-sentient primal, vague concept of that would have existed in the warp just from... Because you have to assume the warp either existed before the universe or it came into existence with the universe.
I'd say it came into existence with sentience.
Well, I would. Emotions and instincts are pre-sentient, though.
Or yeah,
And
I'd say
that's what creates that's what fuels the warp.
Yeah.
So I think the vague
Yeah.
aspect of what became Nurgle has also, like, I think this is why it's so debated what came first.
Oh yeah, most certainly. We know that Slaanesh is just, you know, it's the youngest.
I don't see how Slaanesh is even considered a greater god. I don't see how anything other than
it is the power that came from its birth. Because you
figured it was just.
I figured it was because it's such a fresh memory.
Well,
I figured it was just because. Oh my god! I figured it was just literally just because sex sells.
Maybe, but the way I look at it, the Eldar are so psychically attuned with the warp that they gave so much power to the birth of Slaanesh, because there's no other, birth of a god or entity that has caused something like the Eye of Terror.
True.
In the galaxy, at least. So, there might be 3 other Eyes of Terror out there, but there was none that were so powerful and traumatic to the universe as Slaanesh.
Sorry.
And that's why it's one of the 4 most powerful. While it is the youngest, and it's not necessarily... It's not like sex cells or ecstasy or whatever. It is excess that powers them. So any form, not particularly any form, but it's also the 4 major gods are powered by latent emotions and feelings, but also active worship.
Slanesh isn't just horny. She's malice. She's greed.
Yeah,
She's
essentially.
beast in
Malice
some way.
is malice.
Hmm?
Malice is malice.
Yeah. Isn't Malice just anti-chaos?
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
Although I do also really like Samus, because in the Siege of Terror books he seems to be getting quite strong.
Hmm.
Strong enough to be one of the other gods.
Yeah. Then you've got the Emperor, and that one is we already went over him, didn't we?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
A little bit. We covered enough for
Yeah.
now. We'll have to do a Emperor focused episode.
Oh yeah, no, and I'll actually have to do research for that one. But what else? Any other warp entities that come to mind?
Honestly,
As far as the lesser ones go, you go ahead, Lion.
no, I was just gonna say, honestly, in all things considered, the warp is probably the thing I know the least about when it comes to 40k.
That's fair.
Okay.
And I think we've covered enough, like, well, no, let's get into warp entities themselves. Not necessarily the gods, but the demons.
You talking wolves or are you talking wirewolves?
We can... no, let's leave demons for a different topic, but, like, warp
The demons
entities.
are going to be very, yeah.
And slavers. And there's all kinds of other shit, too, that I'm... Like, I know that they exist, but I can't remember what exactly. One sec, let me...
I know more about how they're used by cults and psychers and whatnot than about, like, how their existence works in the warp.
Yeah.
Or what their relation is to those things. I just, like, tutelaries were the warp entities that the Thousand Sons would bond with. Other warp entities are stuffed into mechanical puppets and used as freaking hunting dogs.
Astral Hound. Okay, yeah. So there's all kinds of shit. There's like astral hounds, astral specters, apparitions.
And not everything is sentient, not everything is inherently evil in
No.
the warp.
Heavily associated... Oh, the Black Angel is a warp entity heavily associated with the Blood Angels and people of Baal.
Every single saint you can think of is
Yep.
technically a warp entity.
I'd say they were close. We'll get to those in demons, actually, and that'll tell you what I think
We'll
of
do
them.
saints with demons.
Despaires are the demons that are famished and tattered figures clothed in darkness, with hollow eye sockets and mouths frozen in endless silent screams. They give off an aura that drains the willpower of those around them and are known to desire nothing more than to cause sorrow and madness. Though the Despaires serve no single chaos power, the darkness that clings about them makes them formidable stalkers and assassins for malefic cults to summon.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll get into like an astral spectre. Are warp creatures formed from psychic energy and the fabric of the Empyrean that are created when two types of energy combine with each other. The first is living energy, created when human psychers who are weak in will or faith use their abilities in real space. The energy created by the psychers that congeals with the very fabric of the warp itself to form the astral spectre. Yeah, it's essentially just like a ghost formed from the warp.
I think demon engines are interesting.
Oh
And
yeah.
I find the
they're
difference
pretty
between demons, like demon princes, like some of the ward bearers, for example, became mutated because they basically got possessed by demons. And then other demon princes became demon princes because they ascended from
Mm-hmm.
being typical Chaos Space Marines to being full like their own soul got turned into a demon. Like, that's fucking wild, man.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways for them to come into existence.
Unaligned demons, there's shit like that too. Apparition are ghosts of deceased beings who return to fight beside their species while wielding ghostly weapons. Okay. But, so basically you got all kinds of things. You've got enslavers. They came about way early, right after the War in the Heaven. And there's all kinds of other shit, too, that I'm... Yeah, that's gonna be its own short, actually, because that is an interesting list of shit. That's out of the way. Let's go over to demons themselves. Servants or pieces of sentient warp entities. The only two things I can think of that don't have demons that are actual sentient entities in the warp with any power are Gork and Mork, and then the Tau God. But beyond that, every being essentially has demons. The obvious ones, you've got demon engines, you've got whatever the fuck. Was it ever revealed what those Tulu things were, or with the Thousand Suns? Salty.
The Tutelaries themselves were, in fact, like low-tier followers of the God of Change, so that technically would be demons.
Okay, yeah, I'd call
and it is revealed in the Burning of Prospero, because they essentially betray them, and their warp powers become heavily diminished, and that's why the Space Wolves are able to get such a leg up on them. If I remember the book correctly, it's been a few years.
Yeah. So you've got all kinds of demons, and then you've got, demonettes. You've got the mounts of Slanesh. You've got all these different mounts for the Chaos Gods. And then you get into the prospect of possession and demonic possession. I don't know if it specifically has to be any one type of demon that possesses someone, but yeah, and that gets into demon engines, and you seem to know a lot about those, Salty.
Yeah, so a demon engine is essentially, like, technically a demon engine could be considered, usually is considered like a vehicle
or construct.
Yeah, a vehicle or construct more or less piloted or possessed by a demonic spirit that doesn't have a physical form.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes on a tank, a sentinel, a truck, a puppet crafted out of metal and cables in the shape of a human.
Wirewolves.
Yeah, or yokai, if you are a Horus Heresy fan. Crimson King, they mistake them for robots, but they're actually puppets piloted by demons.
I thought demon engines were demons that got tricked into being forced into machine by Iron Warriors.
No, that is one type of demon engine.
Those are a type of demon engine. Demon engine is actually a very broad term. It's more or less any demon that's tricked into possessing or intentionally possessing an artificial construct rather than a physical form.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right.
So, puppeteers.
Yeah. And they don't merely pilot them.
No,
they provide energy to these constructs.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And they can be any number of things, as he said. You've got the wirewolves, which are literally pieces of metal held together with cables that gives a frame to essentially formless energy in the form of demons. And then you've
They're
got...
intelligent, smart enough to hunt. They effectively behave like hunting dogs.
Yeah.
And then you turn around and you have a fully sentient rhino, basically, on the same planet that hunts like a jungle cat.
Yeah, that one. I never figured out what was up with that one. But, that's a bit spoilery for the, what was it, Armor of Contempt?
I
book?
believe so. That was the one that,
Yeah.
I believe that was the one that went back there. Yeah.
Okay.
So, demon engines are fascinating because they can take on so many forms.
Yeah.
It's cool to me that just as many artificial forms exist for demons as the physical forms.
Oh, yeah. And they can be any number of things. Like, you've got demon engine titans, and then you've got titans that have become demon engines. Like, their princeps and shit are possessed by demons, and they then fuse with the titan itself.
Right. Okay.
Again, that's the Thousand Suns thing.
Yeah.
They love those guys.
Then we get to the most based of demons, saints, and other servants of the Emperor.
Yep.
You have the Sisters of Battle. They can channel... we'll leave that one for the last section, but they have access to essentially summon through reliquaries and prayer of living saints to use in combat. And there are numerous other living saints. What's the one that, the Maccabean Janissaries. Saint Drusus. He was a living saint. He was murdered by a chaos assassin and then brought back through the power of the Emperor to serve as a general that literally knew no defeat until he finally died. Yeah. I think it was the Angevin Crusade that happened.
Would you, just a quick tangent that kind of goes along with this. Would you consider, not Sir Janus, but Janus of the Grey Knights to be a...
I'm not familiar with that man. Please
so
explain.
Now, I'm not completely caught up on the lore, so I might be misinterpreting some of the things I read, but my understanding of him, he was one of the early Grey Knights, and essentially he was a psyker by a different name that fused with one of the shards of Magnus's soul to become a new entity completely, brand new sentient.
Is he tied in any way through his power to the Emperor?
I mean, his power comes directly from the Emperor in the sense that he is a shard of a Primarch's soul as his source of energy. Like, I would consider this. I'm asking, I guess, if the shard of a Primarch's soul would be considered an imperial spirit entity.
I would not. I'd consider them their own beings, as they don't... They are independent in their thinking. They can choose what they do. The demons of the...
in a lot of the same ways a demon would.
Yes.
In that sense. Oh.
But, like, the Primarchs themselves and their souls are their own entities within the warp, though. Much like a human's consciousness is. That entity is really super fucking powerful doesn't make them, tied to any one chaos being.
Okay, so in that case, Magnus As in the primary sentience still existed in the warp after his soul was shattered.
Yes.
Were each of his soul shards considered his demons? Did he ascend to godhood?
Well, that's just it. A warp entity need not be a full quote-unquote god. It is just a very... Yeah. Psychers themselves are weird because they have this ability to manipulate both the warp and reality to such an extent that they can essentially summon power from the warp and project it into reality to achieve certain goals. That said, I would say he would be a very powerful warp entity, not on the same level as the gods of the setting, as it were. As, you know...
Right. And that's inevitably how he eventually becomes what he did become a demon prince, did he not?
Yes. After... Wasn't his soul consumed by Tzeentch? Essentially?
Most of it, aside from that one shard that became Janus of the Grey Knights.
Oh, yeah, no. Then, yeah,
Because most of it was reunited, but when he got there to get that piece of the shard, it was already...
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that Sir Janus would be essentially a very powerful psyker. And maybe a super minor warp entity in and of itself.
That's the reason I ask if a shard would be more on the lines of a demon is because that shard had made the sentient choice to do that independent of the entire rest of Magnus's soul, while it was independent of it. It had enough sentience to make its own choice on that.
I would say it is a demon of Magnus, yes.
Right.
But that's not saying...
The structure of it is interesting. Whether any of this is canon is completely irrelevant.
Oh, yeah.
It's just thought experiment for fun.
But to get into the Living Saints, one of the most...
shit that makes my back itch in the middle of the night.
Yeah. One of the most prevalent examples of an Imperial demon would be Celestine. She might have once been a normal person, but she has since ascended beyond that. She is a very powerful being that serves directly the will of the Emperor. And she cannot die, much like a demon cannot die in the conventional sense. She can be banished, but she cannot be killed. Not conventionally, at least.
It's like, yeah, when she dies, she has to climb the corpses of her, dead bodies.
Yeah.
To get back. And obviously, every time she dies, that pile grows higher and higher.
Yes.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, she is. I would say she's more similar to a demon prince than anything else. As she is not necessarily an extension of the Emperor's will. There are examples I'll get into that are, but she seems to be a sentience all of her own, and she's been imbued with power with certain limitations.
Right.
That limitation being the whole climbing the pile of her own corpse thing. Then we get into everyone's favorite, the Legion of the Damned.
Yay.
Who?
The Legion of the Damned.
You'd have to name a few of their albums. I don't know.
Oh. That would be a good metal band, but no, these are...
No, that was the WWE tag team in the 90s. You know, Kane and Undertaker?
Not a clue. Yeah. Sounds about right, yeah, that's what I've done.
Legion of the I don't know anything about them other than that they're like Ghost Rider, basically.
It's
Got
more.
this right.
It's a bit simpler than that. They are, as near as I can tell, the souls of fallen warriors of the Imperium. Specifically, in this case, Astartes, that have been sent back into battle to fight for the Emperor. However, they are very clearly a demonic entity of the Emperor.
There's only one record of a Legion of the Damned member actually talking ever, as well.
Oh, would you like to go into detail with that?
No.
I'm interested now.
Yeah, essentially, it's from a book where they showed up and they recruited one of the guys.
Oh, okay. That's less interesting, but I'm still gonna look into it.
Yeah. But he's basically like, hey, you're good enough to join us.
Yeah.
Come serve for eternity.
Okay, one sec. Fuck you, ad. Where's the fucking... Okay, there we go. Yeah. Of all the legends of the Imperium, one of the strongest is that the Legion of the Damned, for those who know where to look. There are many corroborated accounts of these otherworldly warriors, their unexpected appearances upon a desperate battlefield, and their sudden and inexplicable disappearance at the battle's end. They fight in complete eerie silence. Founding unknown. Suspected 21st cursed founding. No.
Yeah, most people assume it's the Firehawks, I think they're called.
But here's
But
the...
obviously I want them to be Iron Hands.
Oh yeah, no. If I were to say anything, like I said, I think that they are essentially the Emperor's demons.
Yeah.
And they serve his will by going out to save where they can, where they can appear to save and better help the Imperium and its servants. And it wouldn't surprise me if the Emperor had taken the soul of his son, Ferrus Manus, and essentially made it the leader of this.
You think Ferrus Manus is the Primarch of the Legion of the Damned?
It'd be
And I
nice,
fucking
but
love that.
yeah.
I'd say he'd be more akin to a Force commander than anything, because the way I look at it, they aren't from any specific chapter if they're from anywhere at all. Like I said, they could be apparitions and extensions of the Emperor's will. And they could just as likely, and probably at the same time, be souls of fallen Imperial Astartes. Like, this theory goes really well for anyone that knows and likes Rylanor. Because it's theorized he's also part of the Legion of the Damned after, blowing up Fuckface. Snake Boy.
That's a good name for him.
Yeah. But yeah.
Do they deploy with vehicles or support of any kind, or are they just soldiers like infantry? Do they have dreadnoughts? Do they have other is there anything about that in the lore that we know? I know I've seen armies of them painted up and they've got rhinos and whatnot, but and drop pods, but my understanding of them is that they only ever appeared in the middle of really bad warp storm shit too.
I don't know about, like I said, after
as if they were summoned from the warp.
Yeah, essentially they were summoned from the warp. I don't know if they deploy through drop pod, but
essentially a portal just opens and they appear.
Not a portal. They just, the way I understand it, they just pop into reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just appear.
And that's why I was curious whether they have full support vehicles and whatnot, deploy as an army, or whether it's more of just a wave of these troops come out of the darkness and fuck up everything around them.
Okay, yeah. There are many reports.
It would effectively change the theory, right?
Yeah, it's said that they've abolished all ranks. The chapter relic in question is the Adamus Malorum, which is claimed to be a baleful skull born into battle. Ooh, that...
Well, I wonder whose skull it is.
I think I
Could
know
be-
whose skull it could be.
Yeah. Could be Ferris Manus. There's a
Okay.
few people
The
it could be.
salamanders
Not
are
just.
actually in possession of the skulls of Ferris Manus, as far as I know.
Oh.
At least as of the age of apostasy, they were.
Okay.
Right.
I'd say they'd still have it then. I'd say the skull would be just a symbol then. But they
I was gonna say who was Loken's friend that got his head cut off?
I don't know.
Garrow?
No. What?
Nathaniel Garrow?
No. The other guy in Honest Fan 3.
Oh,
Because he got his
It's-
head cut off.
Yeah. It's theorized they might have like the Raptorus Rex from the Firehawks.
Yeah.
But, you know, because the Firehawks were lost to the warp officially, but I don't think they have any equipment. Because the only mentions is them in armor. Yeah.
may I have it right here?
Go ahead.
There are many corroborated accounts of legionnaires of the damned, enduring firepower that would annihilate a warrior clad in tactical dreadnought
Yes,
armor.
I was just about to get
Among them is a report from the Cayenne battle zone, where a handful of Astartes of the Legion of Damned were witnessed walking unharmed from the volcano cannon blast that claimed 4 predators and several squads of Space Marines.
Yeah.
Energized weapons go right through them. They regularly, like, their weapons seem to be completely no different than any other Space Marines, but they fire flaming projectiles that can pierce the strongest armor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Name me any other force in 40K that's capable, any other material force that's capable of doing
Other than Loken by himself.
that. It's fair. But yeah, it's theorized that all of the loyalist Astartes that have either died during the heresy or died since the heresy, since the Emperor's internment, are the souls of have become the Legion of the Damned, empowered by the Emperor to do his bidding.